In this demonstration, I will show you how to process an employee's pay with 100% of net pay going to the 401k deduction. Keep in mind, an employee cannot defer 100% of gross wages because 401k does not reduce FICA taxable wages. Therefore, you will need a 401k deduction code set to the employee calculation method of flat in order to manually update the 401k deduction amount. A first step to consider is reviewing the employee's pay tab for other active deductions. They will need to be zeroed out either at the source if this is a circumstance that will persist over a long period of time, or will need to be zeroed out on the time card if this circumstance is temporary. The next step is to create a time card for the employee, adding all of their active deductions. If you need to review the employer portions, double-click in the field Override Employer Rate Amount or Percent. The employer portions will display in the next field. My next step is to zero out the employee's deductions. You'll want to carefully consider the ramifications of changing the employee's deductions, including those that may affect year-end reporting. My next step is to calculate the payroll for this employee. I have my pay period end and check dates. I'm going to leave the process at all checks because if the check goes into the negative, I would like to see the detail so that I can adjust the 401k deduction. So here my frequency is selected, and in the selection tab I have the employee's ID. Next, process. My next step is to review the pre-check payroll register. Now as you can see here, the employee has a negative check of $1,480.29. After carefully inspecting the calculation, everything else looks great. So what I'll need to do is reduce the 401k deduction of $3,000 by the negative check amount. So back in time cards, I'm going to change the 401k deduction amount from $3,000 to $1,519.71, which is the difference between the deduction and the negative check amount. Hit save, and I'm going to calculate again using the same parameters. Keep it on all checks and make sure to use the employee's ID or use a selection list if you're processing this situation for more than one employee. So here back in time cards, my parameters are set. I'm going to hit process. Now here, if you're processing this employee while a full payroll is also being processed at the same time, you'll want to use merge so that you're only focusing on recalculating this one employee and not, erasing the whole payroll and recalculating it. So here are my results. I've got a zero check, which is my goal. And here's the 401k deduction reduced to bring this check down to zero. One thing to keep in mind, this process might take a little bit of back and forth adjusting that 401k deduction because your total gross earnings less the 401k deduction, that creates taxable wages for the employee for US FIT, and depending on your state, also the state income tax. So in this case, this employee's exemptions are high enough that there is no tax being withheld at the US FIT or state income tax level. If you wanted to override the employee's withheld amounts for US FIT, you could also incorporate that into your time card if that's what the employee's requested. When you open up the time card that you're using for your 401k calculation, you could insert the tax. So you could do US FIT and withholding zero. So this is only going to zero out the withholding, not the taxable wages. Again, if you needed to do this for the state income tax as well, you could do that here. So if there had been a withholding that you saw in the pre-check, after running a calc with this time card, that withholding will no longer happen on this pay. So here I'm getting ready to post the payroll. Just a reminder, if the check amount is zero, it automatically becomes a check. It's not an EFT. All right, so process is complete. My next step, I want to just go ahead and show you the tax calc analysis report. And let's run it for just the payroll, which was dated 1/22. So here you see on the tax calc analysis, the taxable wages for FIT was $125.89. That was the difference between the gross wages, and the 401k deduction. And then here you'll see for med and soc that the entire amount was taxable.